Welcome back to Bullpen Banter. This is season 2, episode 2. The Blue Jays right now, first place in the Grapefruit League. They are a half game up on the Boston Red Sox right now at 14-9. There are 5 games remaining on the spring training schedule. So they're very much in contention for the Golden Grapefruit, building up, obviously very close to, man, very, very close to the season. We have a pretty good idea what the roster is going to look like. The opening day starter was announced today as Jose Barrios. So everything is trending towards when the real games that are, worth something are going to be played. So it's an exciting time right now for baseball. The first game of the actual season is less than 12 hours away. It's going to be at 6 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, Dodgers and the Cubs for the Tokyo series. So it's pretty cool stuff going on right now.
Yeah, set your alarms. It's starting early tomorrow. It's the unofficial opening day, if you will. It's going to be awesome. I guess everyone's loving it, but Mookie Betts.
What's going on with that, man?
Poor guy. So he had an illness. They haven't been able to figure it out. Well, I mean, we can dive into it more later, but he lost 15 pounds reportedly. It's kind of like, what the heck's going on? He's not going to play in the opening series. So I guess that's the risk you take when you travel, as Larso knows, coming back from his big journey. But
I was just going to say, sometimes when you travel across the Pacific Ocean, you don't get acclimated to the dietary and the food that happens in Asia. I know a couple of people that I traveled with in their first week of going to the Philippines, they got really bad stomach flu. And it could be anything from the ice that that these restaurants provide, or it could be just for the food. But sometimes their stomachs can't, or they're not used to whatever they're digesting, and it just doesn't sit well. In this case, unfortunately for Mookie, it's happening to him. I don't know how. You do not love the sushi or anything that happens in Japan, but yeah, that sucks. He would have been a really entertaining aspect to the Tokyo series.
Yeah, and that's also super unfortunate for the fans there as well. Obviously, Major League Baseball specifically doesn't come there a whole lot, and when it does, I'm sure Japan, as you know from just being there and get a little bit into your stories about seeing games there a bit, but they're uber passionate, rabid baseball fans over there. They really love the game, care about the game. Are really informed on the game as well. They're really knowledgeable fans. So to see a guy like Mookie Betts, a former MVP, coming off a World Series, that would be a big deal for a lot of people over there. So that not happening obviously sucks. But hey, just having the series there in general is super cool. And great for baseball. And great for the fans.
And you can't get two other better teams to come to Tokyo than the Cubs and the Dodgers. Of course, there's a lot of Japanese players that play for both teams, like Seiya Suzuki and of course Shota Imanaga, who's going to be starting tomorrow. And of course, you got Roki Sasaki in game 2, and then you have Yamamoto today, along with of course Shohei Ohtani. So it's going to be incredible to watch, and I can't wait to get up early in the morning to watch that.
I was just about to ask, you guys setting the alarms? I bet, are you?
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to have to try and swing it. I'm also going to be up. I have another writing assignment tonight that'll take me till pretty late. So yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I might have to sacrifice some sleep and just make it happen. But that's what we do for the game, man, for the game we love.
Absolutely. We can go back it up to the Jays opening day with Jose Barrios getting the La Máquina, the machine, getting the nod to the opening day start. I believe it's his third in a row for him.
Third total for the Blue Jays.
Correct.
Third in a row. 2021 he started, and it was a little bit of the trend. I was thinking for a couple of years there at least that it's the cursed opening day starter, because he started in Is it the third in a row? Let me double check this because his
So
bad year.
there was one where he had an atrocious start right off the hop, and I think that's the one you're thinking about now. And then he had a tough outing the next time, but he bounced back like that same outing. Like it was a tough start to the outing, and then he came back and it was fine. The Blue Jays ended up rallying to win that opening day.
Yeah, but it was. Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up real here, and we'll see.
But yeah, the rotation's shaping up to be hopefully as solid as it's been innings wise for the last couple. We have 3 real workhorses that are going to start the first 3 games for us, and it's going to be just hopefully that it's just bang, bang, bang. They just keep rolling it out each year because man, these guys have been eating innings for us, and it's one of the more underrated aspects of the rotation for sure.
Yeah, because I know that Gosman's been said to be the game 2 starter. That's out. I don't know. Do we know confirmed? Because I'm assuming it'll be Bassett.
It's got to be Chris because Scherzer's still not likely to be. He's still dealing with the thumb issue, which we'll get into a bit more later. But I can't see Yariel or Bowden or maybe even a Yarborough jumping Bassett. So I imagine it'll be Gosman Bassett to round out the top 3.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Do you guys feel that it was the correct decision and that Barrios is deserving to get the ball over Gosman in game 1?
Yeah, I think so. Like, sure, why not? Barrios, he's one of the more, I would say, consistent along with Bassett over the last year or so. And I just feel like, yeah, he's deserving of it. Like, he has been there and done that. He's gotten that role before, especially during his time with the Twins as well. And yeah, he's more ready to go. He's I think Kevin Gosman, he doesn't really need to put in a lot of work, especially in spring training. He's just more of a routine guy when it comes to ramping up your stuff. And he's only been throwing 2 pitches lately as well. But yeah, like I don't usually get into I don't think opening day roles or having the opening start is truly like a big deal when it comes to like your morale. I just think I wouldn't overthink it in this case, but yeah, Jose Barrios, whether it be him, maybe whether it be Bassett, I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, I think you could overthink it for sure and go down the list between. I think it would come down to Gosman or him. I mean, Jose's done it the last couple. He's the big guy you went out and got first. It really feels like he's been here. He's signed through. Let him get the ball and run it out there again. And like he's the club. Like, I feel like he's a real clubhouse guy too. Like everyone loves him. Wouldn't like they would. I think don't think it was really a doubt for that locker room who was going to be starting really.
Yeah, and I mean, with Barrios, and I've been kind of saying this for a little bit now. I don't think the Jays really have a true ace. I feel like they obviously have a very solid staff. 1 through 5, probably maybe one of the deeper staffs you could argue in the league. But as far as top end talent and really having those guys ace quality guys at the top of the rotation that are going to be Cy Young finalists that are going to be able to really carry outings where they're they might even be able to eat a lot of innings, get 7, 8, 9 and have the odd really good outing, but you're not going to be getting uber dominant performances like you would from a Crochet or like you would from a Scooble or something like that. So it's a little bit tough.
2 1B guys for sure. Like there's no that 1A guy that you can just guy's taking the ball and he's going to shove every 5 days. I mean, they're consistent, but that level of shove that you referred to with Crochet or Sale last season, geez, that was crazy. But just stuff like that. I get what you're 100% saying.
What the Jays have is they have a couple of number 2 starters on playoff teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
really,
exactly.
Really they don't have that true number 1. And I hate to say it, 'cause, I do want the Jays to do well. I am fairly optimistic about how things are looking for them, but I'm not super high on really any of their I think they're all solid pitchers. I think they could all have good years. I just don't see that really high end potential for dominance from any of their starting pitchers. You look at the StatCast pages for Barrios and Gosman, the strikeout rates were both below average last year. The walk rates are pretty good, but a lot of hard contact, the average exit velocities, the barrel rates, things like that, all like, pretty dark blue, like 20th percentile around that territory. So it does make me they both outperformed their expected ERAs last year at FIPS. So and these things are not like set in stone. That doesn't mean they're guaranteed to perform. Whereas I honestly think that I don't think they'll perform to their expected stats. I just don't necessarily think they're definitely not going to get better. I don't think.
Yeah, don't get me wrong though. Like, there's a bunch of teams that would kill for our rotation, but there isn't. It's just lacking that knockout punch at the top for sure. Like, we have a really solid, reliable one, but it's just like we keep mentioning. Maybe Tiedemann can develop into that one day. Maybe Bloss. I don't really think Bloss's ceiling's the number one guy, but we'll see what Ricky can.
No,
we'll see what Ricky can do if he stays healthy. But I think that's what we're really hoping on to there.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been the hope there for a while. And then if you look at all the other guys that they brought in the system recently, like Landon Morotis, Brandon Barrier, guys like that, a lot of injury trouble. And that's probably like the other big weakness you could point to with this starting staff is like the depth is pretty much non-existent. Like, if obviously there's Bloss, the other guy that would have been in that conversation would have been our guy Adam Macko, of course, but he's obviously down right now as well. So yeah, it does get pretty thin pretty quick there, like it has in recent years. And I was checking into this recently. The Jays have actually used the second least number of starters over the last 2 seasons of any team in the big leagues, aside from the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals actually, I know, I was shocked when I looked into the numbers. I think the Jays used 17 and the Nationals used like 15 or something like that over the last 2 seasons.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that the Jays rotation has going for them, right? Is because they do have a lot of guys that they don't throw overpowering stuff and they don't throw from weird arm angles, so then they do preserve their arms pretty well. And yeah, that's the one thing that they have going for them, which is definitely a good thing as well. And they also do manage to at least throw 6 innings. A lot of them do, like Barrios and Bassett. They can eat up a lot of innings, and also Gosman. But yeah, like you said, the depth is a little bit concerning. Funny enough, it's actually a little bit better than it was last season too. And we do have a couple of guys on minor league contracts too who have a major league service, like Eric Lauer, for example. But yeah, that's the one thing they have going for them is the health. And the bullpen it's probably average, maybe I would say. Like the back end,
it's got better. It's got better.
It's gotten better. Like the back end of the bullpen is pretty decent. You do have a lot of guys that have experience, and with the addition of Jeff Hoffman, arguably it's probably a plus compared to what Jordan Romano gave us last season. So yeah, it's not bad. I would say the pitching is one of those things that I'm optimistic about with the Jays.
Yeah, and then I actually do have a bit of a counterpoint on the pitching health. I think, and this is such a difficult thing to dissect a little bit, because I do agree, like, not only have all those pitchers been workhorses, they've been able to stay healthy. They profile, like you said, as pitchers based on like the kind of stuff they throw, based on the arm angles, things like that, as pitchers that should be able to maintain like health. And like, you got to give credit to the Blue Jays, the pitching coaches, pitching development, all the conditioning staff, and the strength coaches, and all that, like, behind that, because I think they definitely have a reputation for doing a really good job maintaining pitcher durability as well. But on the other side of that, you could also say, hey, they're due, right? You look at like Kevin Gosman, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios are all in the top 10 in innings pitched over the last 5 full seasons in baseball. So
Barrios right up there at the top too, with Wheeler and Nola,
I believe he's third. I think I looked at this up. It was like a couple weeks ago because I was working on something else. And so, yeah, if I remember correctly, I believe he's third on that list. So, yeah, like, that is scary to me personally. Like, and the thing is, this was a conversation going into last season as well, and they all made it through just fine, right? So, like, that could be the case again.
Yeah.
But I feel like year by year, like, the way people talk about like pitchers' arms too, like time bombs, right? Like taking time bombs, like this stuff. It's not really necessarily a question of if; it's more so when, right? A lot of the time with this. So the longer it goes without something happening, and fingers crossed that isn't the case, but I feel like eventually it feels like
Ian, such a negative Nancy here, delivering the bad news.
Let's hope La Maquina sticks
sorry.
to his nickname, but the machine just keeps going. Hopefully he's got that rubber arm, man. Like, there's a few guys that have been through their career completely. It's so rare, though. It's so rare. It's so hard.
Especially now, man. Like, they're not throwing like 99, and like I don't think any of their spin rates are like through the roof or anything like that. But like, still, just to go this long unscathed, it really is like, it's an anomaly. It's rare.
We can keep on the pitching injury track here and go through what's going on currently in the Jays system. I mean, they've done a great job keeping the guys healthy at the major league level. The minor league level is a little bit of a different story, but that could be a conversation for a different time. But right now, Max Scherzer's battling the thumb issue in camp. It said it's been something he's been dealing with since 2023. And he mentioned that his thumb is critical to his pitch grips and the overall arm health. So it's something he's taking pretty seriously. But yeah, so when it happens, it flares up the day after a start. So once he can get through a session without a flare up, we'll see him back. But those are one of those things where it's like, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 3. Like, it's going to be something to keep a close eye on in the rotation as well. Cause like you mentioned, the depth is thin ice. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I believe all the reporting from Blue Jays camp in Dunedin has been that he threw a side session a couple of days ago and looked really good. Like they said, the delivery looked smooth. He appeared to be like snapping it off like nothing. So I mean that's as far as people were observing. And then he threw, I believe it was on a backfield today in a minor league game. And I believe like he said, I think after the reports were that he won't know until the day after. He's going to have to wait and kind of get back to it. So we're just awaiting, more information from him there once that kind of, feedback comes from his body, right? But it's definitely concerning, especially considering spring is spring. There's always the caveat, but he has been so impressive so far. Like that 3 1/3. 6 strikeout outing before this flared up. His changeup, his curve, man, everything, like it makes me.
He looks 30.
Oh yeah, and it makes me, like, as an analytics guy, want to like throw the book out the window and just like. And he's apparently, according to what he said in interviews, he's not really a big analytics guy either. He's more of a field guy, and he makes me want to be a field guy, man. Watching his pitches, like, oh my god, it just looks like. It's kind of throwback like stuff.
Oh, 100%. Now the bullpen is also going through some tough times right now. Eric Swanson didn't look like it was going to be much, just maybe a slow ramp up. Next thing we know, he's visiting the specialist that no Blue Jays fan likes to hear his name, Dr. Keith Meister. Keith Meister, I believe, is his name. I almost said Keith Pelly, the CEO of, former CEO of. Anyway, so no one wants to see Dr. Keith Meister, but that's not good. That is where Eric Swanson is right now. So we are looking at a potential Tommy Nance situation in the bullpen starting the year as well, because we have Ryan Burr going through a slow ramp up as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the last couple bullpen spots, shape out. What do you guys think on that front?
So just a quick note on Swanson. It was median nerve entrapment that Meister diagnosed him with. And there was no structural damage reported, which he will most likely start the season on an IL stint. Who knows if he'll miss a couple weeks or a month or what it'll be, and he'll have to ramp up. There definitely will be at least somewhat significant missed time. Based on the diagnosis and the outlook, I don't think he should be back and contributing relatively soon. So not all bad there, but definitely, especially after his turbulent 2024. Not definitely sucks that things are starting off that way for him. But yeah, Christian, what are your predictions for the pen?
Yeah, so again, I just want to touch up. Yeah, very unfortunate with the Swansons, especially considering the unideal start they had last year, and it's just like he just probably wanted to have a really good go at it this year, but unfortunately with this injury, it's not going to happen. But yeah, earlier today we had some news that Richard Lovelady, who we signed on a minor league contract, has been selected to the 40-man roster. So presumably he's going to make the bullpen going into opening day, which is great because it gives us another lefty out of the pen, and apparently also Richard Lovelady. He also did some work with Driveline over the off season, so he's been looking a little bit better too. Apparently he's adding a little bit more velo as well, and he's tuned up some things with his delivery. So that'd be interesting to see. He's been having a pretty good start to spring training. And then you maybe get like Zach Pop coming in, maybe a Yarborough who could give you a little bit more innings out of the pen. He had a pretty short but a pretty solid stint with the Jays last season after getting traded from the Dodgers. Um, I'm not sure if you could get like guys like Tommy Nance or Dylan Tate making it. I know that Dylan Tate has an extra minor league option, so we could probably use that, and he could start the year in Buffalo. And Tommy Nance, he just doesn't really look like a guy that could really make it with this team, you know? So, I mean, I wouldn't mind him not making the team and perhaps getting DFA'd. So, yeah, that's just some of, and on top of that, of course, you're going to have Green, you're going to have Jimmy Garcia, and you're going to have like Hoffman and then be locks for the bullpen. So, yeah, those are my predictions.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm pretty much in the same boat there. Um, like, because coming into the season, obviously we had Swanson at the back end there with Hoffman is probably going to line up in the closer role. Chad Green, who got a lot of those same opportunities last season, he'll be at the back end there, and along with Jimmy Garcia, all three of those guys could have saved games in the past and probably profile as guys that Schneider would feel comfortable putting in a ninth inning scenario or in high leverage spots. And then Uriel Rodriguez, obviously going to be very interesting to see how his stuff plays up in shorter stints, and if he's able to get some more life on that fastball. And then outside of that, Nick Sandlin, very interesting. We covered him a lot on the last episode, but super unique arm slot. No one throws a splitter from a lower or wider point in baseball than Sandler. That's been super effective against lefties. Like he didn't allow an extra base hit for the first 3 months of the season last year against lefties, effective against lefties kind of thing. So yeah, super. I think pretty promising bullpen. Obviously, bullpens are a bit of a crapshoot always, but yeah, I think it's there's a lot to be excited about and a lot of intriguing arms for sure.
One more thing I'll throw in too is if Scherzer isn't ready to go his first time through the rotation, that could pull Yariel out of the bullpen, and then we have a third spot open up. So we could see, like we've mentioned this before on the pod, it's a major league bullpen. We're going to see all these guys at some point anyway. Injuries happen, guys go through bad spells, but yeah, there could be a third opening too that it's going to need to be filled if Scherzer isn't ready to go. But we'll fingers crossed.
Yeah, I say if Uriel goes into the rotation, I think Yarborough has to be a lock because he provides you multiple innings.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone else that would be capable of doing that. So I would think Yarborough has to be inserted there.
So just let's real quick while we're on the topic of bullpens, because you already kind of gave your full bullpen more or less there, Christian. I'll give my full squad here, and I also wanted to say, on the topic of lefties, because you said you thought there'd be two lefties in the bullpen, so you don't think Yarborough will start off in the pen?
I mean, if Yarborough has to come in for Scherzer, then I think Yarborough does come in as a long reliever.
I think he might start the season in the pen, honestly. I think there might be if Lovelady makes that last spot there. So here, I'll go over my bullpen. Obviously, Hoffman, Garcia, Green, Uriel, Nick Sandlin, and then Ryan Yarborough, Brendan Little, and then there's that last spot, which would have been Swanson, right? I honestly am not entirely sure. I could see Dylan Tate getting that spot. I could see Lovelady. I could see it being Zach Pop as well, although I'm not huge fan of that with his 15% strike, 9% walk rate last year.
So you don't think Lovelady is confirmed in because he has no minor league options left, and they just selected him?
I guess so. Honestly, I like him. Like I like when he was pitching today. I liked what I saw. Like I like the he's got stuff going to both sides of the plate. He's got that two seamer. He's got the slider going glove slide. I it's funny because coming into spring it was like, oh, they have no lefties. It's just Brendan Little, and now it's like, oh, they might have 3 lefties. Like yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say that probably looks most likely right now, and that's who. If I had to pick someone, that's who I'd prefer. I think for that last spot.
We've glossed over this guy's legendary name like many times too. Can we talk about Richard Dick Lovelady? Like, let's go.
Oh.
That's unreal. It's almost Jersey cop worthy. Like, that's an awesome name. Anyway, I think Dick's gonna. Yeah, I think Christian's right with the 40-man move today. I think Dick's gonna make it in to the. I'll refer to him as Richard after this, but I think Dick will make it in. Yeah, I'm still hung up on if Yariel will be in the starter because Scherzer, I don't know. I'm going to pretend Scherzer's in the rotation. So it'll be Hoffman, obviously Green, Garcia, Sandlin. Those guys are locks. Richard, Dick Lovelady. I'm going to take Zach Pop because he only has – I think he's out of options or has one. So if he comes up
he's out of options.
He's out of options. That's what I thought. So if he pops up, like I think they're going to just keep him up there. If he blows up, see you later. Like, it's probably the end. So I imagine he will come off the spring in the bullpen as well. And I believe that leaves me with one more spot, which depends on the lefty situation between Little and I guess Lovelady's in. Good old Dick. So I would probably end up giving it to Tommy Nance, even though he gave up that absolute moon bomb today to Rice. But I just think with the injuries, it'll probably end up being old boy Tommy.
Wait, so if you have Tommy and you have Lovelady and Pop in there, who are you?
That's with Yariel.
Oh, it's with Yariel in the rotation?
Yeah. And then without Yariel, Nance would get the bounce, yeah.
Wait, did you also say that you're going to assume that Scherzer's in the rotation as well?
That would be with Scherzer, it would be Yariel taking Nance's spot. Without Scherzer, Nance would slide in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, every
I think I worded that.
Every Toronto sports team needs to have a Dick now. We got two in the mix. The Leafs need to grab one, and it's
we've had the Leafs have had some prime Richards over the year. I think we can go look through, but they need one right now. We got to have the Dick trio going.
yeah, that'd be good stuff. Dick Lovelady for the vibes, absolutely. That's absolutely killer name.
Dick loves ladies.
Yeah, dude. So I think the bullpen looks pretty good. I think it looks better than minus 3.5 WAR, like one of the worst MLB bullpens in a decade for sure. So
that last year was I don't want to say it was fun because it was miserable, but it was interesting to see how they were going to blow it next. It was a new way every time.
It was funny. It was funny to see Jose Cuas come in and allow 3 runs and 3 base runners on like 2 pitches or whatever. That was pretty hilarious.
Oh, there was a couple walk around the Rosies too. I'm pretty sure we watched, and it was not fun.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Just like pulling guys from every corner of the minor leagues, trying to like just cash a lottery ticket somewhere. It was a pretty hilarious and hopeless desperation run they had there. But
we filled out some good immaculate grid answers in a couple of years, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, there are some who he played for is in there big time. So as far as the rest of the team this spring, maybe good to go over just some areas that we think could be strengths that we're optimistic about. Maybe some areas that we could be a little bit concerned about. Obviously, I touched on the starting rotation there a little bit. An area that I feel like will be steady, but also has some potential cracks. Let's go around on that first. Are there any areas in particular that you guys are concerned about, or you think that could be weaknesses for the Blue Jays?
I would think for me, bottom of the order. Because now if we're talking about the center field spot with Varsho presumably not ready to be cracking the rotation or cracking the roster because he cannot really play with his shoulder issues. That would mean you're gonna have probably Miles Straw start in center field, and his bat is non-existent, albeit he's having a great spring. But of course, like it's a small sample size. If you're just gonna go off what his history has been lately with the Astros and with the Cleveland, like his bat is non-existent. He does not really do anything. He may as well just start bunting to try to get on base. And then you're gonna probably have maybe whoever is gonna be starting at third. That's something of a talking point too. Ernie Clement, albeit he also had a pretty good year last year, but ideally you want him batting eighth, and you don't want him batting any higher than that. So yeah, I think the bottom of the order is definitely not ideal. And you're probably gonna have to do some platoon splits as well with maybe like Lo Perfido only seeing time against right-handed pitching, and also Wagner. I mean, Wagner, he's pretty good though. I'm not gonna bang on Wagner, but yeah, I would say after the fifth spot in the lineup, it gets pretty dicey.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it's funny you mentioned, he's had a good spring, but spring doesn't matter. The Jays kind of like borderline fourth outfielder slash good defensive center fielder in the straw spot last year. Kevin Kiermaier, he had 4 home runs in spring training in 2024. Hit one during
That was
the season.
insane. That was insanity.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
What was going on?
About to have the best offensive season of his career. He's breaking out at 36 or whatever. But yeah, like, dude, spring really doesn't matter. Like, it's great to see Straw hitting well. It would be super cool if he could have like a league average season at the plate, like which he's had never in his career. I'm looking at it right now. He had half a season with Cleveland in 2021. But yeah, definitely not optimistic on that happening.
So yeah, my optimism is kind of also my pessimism in the same kind of swing. So I'm optimistic that one of Barger or Elvis, Wagner, one of those guys is just really going to break out and run away with the job. Like that guy's he's keeping him around. He's in the lineup every day type. But I'm also pessimistic that we're relying on that too hard, that our lineup is really desperate for one of these guys to break out. And if it doesn't happen, it, like Christian said, the bottom is thin. And then again at the top, like Bo, we can get more into this in the late. We could do a whole episode on the leadoff hitter between the three of us. But again, at the top of the order, the high on base guy is not on our roster, at all. So that's going to be one thing that hopefully these young guys can just kind of grow into, and it'd be like, bang, there's our leadoff hitter, stick him there. We'll see, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Martinez. He doesn't really profile like that, but we'll see.
Yeah. So all those topics actually curtail really, really nicely and segue really nicely into each other. Like the leadoff hitter, like you said, we could probably talk about that for quite a while. I think we had it on somewhere on the rundown today to talk about. Haven't gotten to it. Maybe we'll start off with that. We'll lead off with the leadoff hitter next week and dig into that one. I think we all have some interesting and differing opinions there.
Oh, we're gonna be butting heads for sure.
Oh
yeah. Let's get into it. You guys already know how my thinking, but as far as you're talking about potential breakout hitters there. I also feel that there very well could be one of those guys stepping up this year, and like a lot of them have been in the system for years and kind of on the verge. Guys like Relvis. The one guy you didn't mention there, who's been having an outstanding spring at the plate and is kind of the talk of the town right now, is Alec Rodin.
Yeah.
And my kind of pessimism about the team kind of ties right in with that as far as I'm concerned with the lack of on base. I like the analytical approach. I love Moneyball, big Moneyball, kind of thinker in that way, like that. I like the forward thinking stuff. And dude, like they have hardly, aside from Vladdy, they have hardly anyone who ran an above average on base percentage last year. The only other two were Alejandro Kirk and Leo Jimenez. And Leo Jimenez obviously very limited sample. So, like, when you think about it, not making outs is very important. You only get 23 outs in the inning, 27 outs in the game. The more outs you get, the less likely you are to continue and get guys on base for stuff to happen. And that's what on base percentage is. It's the measure of how often and not often guys make outs. So, like, just at the core principles of that, it concerns me. And I know they have a ton of high contact guys. They already had Ernie Clement, who never strikes out, never walks. He just puts the ball in play every time. Then they copied him and they have Andres Jimenez too, and they have another one. And it's like, whew, okay. Anthony Santander is the same thing, except for with power. Again, he does not walk a whole lot, just balls in play every single time. Sure, he hits them hard and hits them over maybe not hits them hard. He pulls them in the air over the fence. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm hoping Alan Roden is the savior. He's got a great plate approach. He's super patient. I'm hoping he can be like the David Schneider story or the Spencer Horwitz story this year. Come up, have a huge on base percentage. Maybe he profiles that leadoff spot. Maybe he's the mystery leadoff man that's going to solve our argument.
Wouldn't that be something? They talk highly about him, man. The coaching staff, every time they've given him something to work on, he's come back and improved it by tenfold. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Real quick before we get out of here, scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you with George Springer?
10. No, I'm kidding, but high.
Yeah, I would say maybe 8.
Yeah, it's been a tough spring for him.
7 or 8, but yeah.
It's been a tough spring, but hey, spring is spring, and we don't worry about spring. That's our mantra around here because we get way too much false hope. Kevin Kiermaier hit 4 bombs last year.
Yeah, Dalton Varsho has scored this year. Does it mean anything? Probably not. We'll let you guys go here. I'll leave you with a fact that I meant to say earlier. Jose Barrios, opening day starter, announced today. He's now going to be tied. It'll be his third. Tied for third all-time on the Blue Jays history with Jimmy Key. Only once with more are Dave Steve with 4 and Roy Halladay with 7. So pretty cool. We'll catch you next week.